We are finally taking a look at Metal Cardbot Sky Gallop. Talked about this guy in my top 10 video for 2025. Very cool figure, and I've got two more really cool Metal Cardbots coming that I paid way too much for, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Yeah, I figure with those on the way here, I should probably take a look at the remaining Metal Cardbot figures that I have on hand right now. So we are looking at Sky Gallop first, and as is the case with all the Metal Cardbot stuff that's been coming out lately, the card is just absurd. Not as bad as Gigant Rex, but it's still not great. This is huge and kind of annoying, but the accessory that it forms is pretty cool. We'll take a look at that in a minute. I'm doing it this way because this is the way he comes packaged in the box. So looking at him kind of as he would come in the mail if anyone else were to order him. But yeah, this is Sky Gallop, and he looks so cool. Love the black and white just as a core color scheme, but here having like those little hits of red and gold accents are so nice. Just the color layout and the color breakup on this guy is fantastic. It really, like, there's no one part of this figure, at least in robot mode, that is boring. There's no giant block of solid color where your eyes just kind of like, oh, let's move on to the next thing. This is dull. So yeah, this is very cool. Also, he gets a gigantic bow and arrow type deal, which is super cool, and we will look at this more when we get to articulation, but like, yeah, this is rather large and pretty darn neat. And now for the robot himself, he just looks so cool. Again, I love the color scheme here, the deco. It's got this really cool chest detail going on here that kind of feeds out into the shoulders too. I like how that kind of pointiness echoes from up here down to here, or out to here rather, and you even get a little bit of that in the ears, which we'll take a look at the head in more detail in a minute. Pretty clean around the back too. There's not really a whole lot other than his awkward looking plain eyes, but like you could fold that down if you want it to be not as obvious. It doesn't stick out quite as far when you do that. It does stick down a little bit, but like I don't know that it's really that noticeable, so do with it what you will. You do need to do this, though, if you're going to be incorporating the card accessory. But yeah, this guy is cool. Love the giant wings sweeping back there. You can angle them a little bit if you want. I prefer to do this for the other mode with the card accessory, but I like that you can do that. You can also... Oh, come on, don't you start on me. You can also... What did I just say? You can also rotate these as part of the transformation, so if you really want them facing down, you can do that. I definitely think they look cooler up, though. Love all the little detailing they've got going on here, all the painted gold and like the feet and stuff, the red details, the belt, which looks like a mini airplane cockpit section almost. It's cool stuff. And the head is also really cool. I really am quite fond of this head sculpt. It's typical Metal Cardbot in that he's got the slightly angrier looking version of the eyes that are on the vehicle mode, but I really like the metallic green they used, which you get a little bit of that in the belt too. Like, I like the metallic green, and also the design itself. It really looks like a knight helmet with the faceplate and this bit up here that looks like it could potentially swing down to cover the eyes. But then you also have the swept back, very pronounced wings on the side of the head, and of course that metallic green on the black in the what could be a visor section is just really cool looking. And I also like that they did the mouth plate with that trim in black, where it's like the white with the black trim. I don't know, just it looks really cool. Unfortunately, there is the big old screw hole on one side, but that seems to be a thing that happens a lot with Metal Cardbot figures. So it isn't great, but it's not the worst. Okay, now for articulation. The head, as you saw, is on a ball joint, which it's a little bit limited. Like, it can look up and down a bit, but like it can only really look forward. It can't look down. I suppose if you pop open the chest slightly, you can use the transformation hinge, maybe? Nope, it swings backwards, so you cannot you can't cheat the head looking down, which kind of stinks, but you get some pretty surprisingly decent side to side, which is like cool, but I wish the up and down were better. And the head can rotate not all the way around because the chin crashes into these little bits around the side of the neck, but pretty darn far. I feel like you're not really gonna, like, who really needs a neck to bend that way for posing? Arms can theoretically do a full 360, but these wings do get in the way, though you can fold them out of the way. You also get outward motion to there, but you can also use the transformation joint to get further outward motion, so that's really nice. You get a detented bicep swivel, elbows that bend up past 90. No waist articulation, which I think, considering all the stuff going on back here, that makes sense. You get these hip skirts that can get out of the way, and then the legs can go forward that far. You kind of have to look out for these wheels bumping up to this, so like that's as far out as they're going to go comfortably, but you can kind of push it a little further to get the legs straight out. I don't know if that's putting any stress on this part, though. I kind of don't trust it, but hey, your mileage may vary. Can go out to about there. Do not even consider going backwards because there's this stuff going on back here, so like these legs are not going back at all. You get thigh rotation, or rather rotation just above the knee that is slightly detented. And then the knees can bend about that far. And you can't really... Oh, there you go. You can... There's a tab on the inside of this that catches on the inside of the leg, but if you move it around that, then you can get a kind of pseudo double knee, which doesn't look fantastic, but it gets you the range, and that's kind of it. You don't get any ankle tilt, but you can move the feet forward if you want for the transformation. And that is it for the articulation. So pretty posable, and just very cool. And I'll just give him his weapon back. Unfortunately, the way that this guy is designed, I mean, it's not a huge deal, but there are these little tabs on the insides of the palm that are on both palms, which is weird. And you'll notice there's like a channel on the handle for the bow and arrow here, which means because of like the fact that this goes at a slight angle, so this goes at a slight angle, you can slot the bow and arrow in here totally fine. If you want to do it this way, this isn't going to work because that tab can't go in the channel. And you can't really come at it from this angle because he's got this thing in the way. So, like, he cannot hold this in his left hand, which isn't a huge problem. It's just kind of, I don't know, it's weird that they designed it so that it would be restricted like that. Yeah, you know, with the little playing around with some of the joints, that's pretty decent. One thing I want to mention before we go into the card accessory bit. This panel here, it does lock into place more or less in robot mode because you've got this tab that sits in this little gap on the back of the shin. There's a gap here too, but there's no tab on this side because this is where the tab on this side locks into, so this piece has no solid locking point. The reason that irritates me is, one, because, you know, this is just kind of freewheeling, and I mean, is that even... Yeah, that's a pin, so I can't even tighten a screw there, so that stinks. It doesn't take much to nudge that back into place. It's whatever. The reason it annoys me is because there's a very clear place where this portion of the leg is supposed to lock in for a proper, like, robot mode leg orientation so that he can stand well and all that. Because, and that's, it locks in because of this. Like, this piece helps to lock that in place. So you can't easily accidentally push this past where it's supposed to go. You saw I had to, like, manipulate this to make it happen. So that's good. The problem is, because this doesn't lock in on this side, you don't have that luxury, so you could very easily have this going further than you want it to, and that could throw off his balance. Like, even one click off, will make him kind of wobbly and unstable. And like, it's not the worst thing to have to dial it in. I just feel like if there was some way for this to lock in solidly like it does on this side, in, you know, keeping this oriented the way that gives him the most stability, I feel like that would have been good. Anyway, the card accessory. Okay, so it's a brick. I'm not going to harp on it like I always do, because I always do, but I just wish these weren't quite so big, but hey, the results in this case are at least really cool. So, got the card image on the front there. This just pops off. There's these 4 tabs here, these 4 spots here that it pegs into. There's the symbol there, done up in a silver chrome, which looks really nice. I don't know why silver, because there's really no silver on this guy. I feel like gold would have made more sense, but I'm not a toy designer. Maybe it's a branding thing and not a per character thing. Anyway, there's the image of Sky Gallop holding the bow in his left hand, which he can't do. And now this thing. This is very cool. If you watch the top 10 video, you know where this is going, and it's just kind of funny. But yeah, to transform the card accessory, take this gold bit here, just fold it all the way back. Then take this panel on the side here, and this kind of pulls out. There's like a little tab here that sits in this little notch here. It's not like a clip, but it does hold it in place. But anyway, you pop this out, pop it out on either side, rotate it down 90 degrees on either side, and then fold this out. And yeah. I do think this figure is incredibly cool, and I like the way this accessory incorporates into the robot, which we'll see in a second, but I also think it's really funny that the giant card turns into a horse's ass. I just find that really funny. But since we've got this here, detailing, this is a little bit less visually interesting than the robot. It doesn't have as many intricate spots of color. You've got much larger blotches of white and black, but you still get those gold accents, and I guess the one bit of silver you really get on this guy, the hooves. So there is that. I kind of feel like this could have done with maybe just a little bit of red. Like, there are a couple of small spots where I could totally see there being just a little application of this red to really pull all this together. I feel like the white, black, and gold still works, but I just think like a couple of hits of red on the horse posterior would have also been nice to really bring this together cohesively in terms of color. Anyway, to attach this, it's extremely simple. There's just these 2 clips back here, and there are some, they're really hard to see, but there are these little slots in this black section here. And what'll happen is these white tabs will go into those slots, and then these clips will go over the bits there. So you really just push this, you like line it up, slide it in. I think this is in the way. Line it up and slide it in. These white bits will go into these channels here to help guide everything in. But push that in, click it in, and that's it. And there is Sky Gallop's Centaur Mode, and I am a sucker for Centaur robots. I've said this before, so of course I am a sucker for this. Now, one thing I like doing with the Centaur Mode is I just push the wings back. I feel like this, because when the wings are out, this kind of blocks the view or takes attention away from the back half that is a horse now. So by folding these back, it kind of makes this a little bit easier to see. And I just think, you know, it changes the look up a little bit. Yeah, very cool. I, again, extremely dig Centaur robots, so this is absolutely my jam. And this is just a super cool robot. And also, because it's metal Cardbot, pretty big. Not compared to other metal Cardbot figures. Not some anyway, but still pretty darn big. For example, it's a fair bit bigger than Black Hook. But but a fair bit smaller than Heavy Iron. But then, of course, bring in one of my go-to, I guess my go-to not one of, my go-to Korean toy size comparison. Tobot the Wild Chief, and he's bigger than Wild Chief and also bulkier because there's an entire back half of a horse sticking out there. And then to really drive the point home, got a deluxe, a big deluxe, which is almost Voyager sized, and then a little Blockies guy, because I really like the little Blockies guys. Alright, now transforming this guy is pretty straightforward. I'm going to start with the bow, and this you want to just, looking at it from the clearly outside painted bit, you want to fold these bits down and then fold this in half in the center. That's the only direction it folds, and then this will peg together. And wonder what this will be. Going to also, of course, remove the horse butt. And that goes off to the side and does absolutely nothing because it's a metal Cardbot figure and the card accessories don't actually do anything in the vehicle modes. Okay, gonna straighten out the arms and then bring those all the way out. While doing that, going to pop open the chest and then rotate the head. There we go. Okay, it does fold down. I got it wrong. So you can use that transformation joint to approximate looking down. So that's something at least. Anyway, rotate that in, close this up, and this tab here will tab into the plank to keep that from popping, from rotating. And rotate the arms around 180 degrees and then meet in the middle. And actually, I'm going to fold down the landing gear now just because it's easier to do it this way. Meet them in the middle, peg them all together. And there we go. Now, going to accordion out all of this backpack nonsense, and this will come down, and that's an image, and we'll peg in all along here. I'm going to rotate the wings around so that they're facing the appropriate way. These side skirts will fold up, and they actually fold up all the way and kind of tab into these red bits on the side here. And that covers all that up. I don't really like that because that's rubbing against the red paint in there, but what can I do? Anyway, going to flip the feet forward, bring these bits, for this side at least you can just swing it. For this side you kind of have to unplug it here to get the right angle so you can swing it forward, but I'm going to swing these forward, and now these bits will swing around, and this little tab here will go into the back there, and that will line up and give you what looks like the tail end of a plane. And now these rotate 180 degrees. You bring the legs together and they will clip together. Well, actually, before we clip them together, I'm going to keep those unclipped just a little bit. And now the knees will bend forward, and there are these slots on these black pieces, or tabs on the black pieces that'll go into some slots up here. There we go, there we go. And now the feet come down, and these little clip sections on what were the heels will clip into the back, where the horse butt clipped into. And now, before fully tabbing this together, we want to slide this in, and there are these little divots on the sides here that'll go inside. They're really hard to see, but there's little nubs on the inside of this section here, specifically on either side. And so you want to kind of slot this in, and then once this is in place, then you clip it all together and it'll hold in place. Like that's... Okay, maybe not. There you go, you could just slide it in. I prefer to sandwich it in, but hey, I screwed up the alignment. But yeah, once that's in place, that actually holds pretty well. And then finally just gonna bring the wings down the rest of the way. And there we go, there is Sky Gallop in vehicle mode. And this is a plane. It's weird that this kind of looks like it's supposed to be like a passenger liner, like it's shaped more like a standard passenger aircraft, but it's got these enormous VTOLs on the wings, which the VTOLs don't do anything. They're just molded in. They don't spin or anything like that. But yeah, this is a weird kind of plane, but it is cool. I like it. You've got the typical color scheme that Sky Gallop had in Robot Mode with the white, black, only now you don't really have gold accents except right down here. And I mean, technically you've got details on the bottom, but I don't really count those. But like, mostly this is the only gold you get visible in vehicle mode, but you do get some of that red trim. I also weirdly kind of like the very slight angularness they gave to this vehicle mode. Particularly the tips of the wings have these little bits that just kind of jut out and up slightly. They just make it look a little bit sleeker and meaner. And the way that the tail fins come up at a slight angle, like these do not bend down any further. There's actually a tab in place preventing that. So these are supposed to be angled up slightly. And I don't know, it just makes him look a little bit more aggressive than a typical plane that's vaguely like this. And also, I guess the eyes are a little angry, but all the metal Cardbot figures have angry eyes, really. Yeah, this is cool. I really like the transformation. It's really interesting. I like how this whole section here is the backs of his legs, but you can't really tell. Like this, actually, this entire, like from here down to here is all leg, but you can't really tell because of how well it incorporates everything. And also, of course, this is all arms, which is cool. And if you want to, you could get silly and pop this open and make him talk. And also, it looks like he has buck teeth when you do that. I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing that they actually utilize in the show, but I do think it's kind of funny. Anyway, yeah, that's it for the vehicle mode. It's cool. Rolls, kind of. And you can't do anything with the card in this mode because this is a metal Cardbot figure and they never, ever, ever do that. But I do think this is really neat. And again, really like the transformation. And once he's in vehicle mode, he is pretty big. I mean, mostly it's spread out because, you know, plane, wingspan, and all that. He is pretty reasonably bigger than Black Hook and also definitely hides the robot way better. He's just right there. Yar har fiddly-dee. Although, kind of interestingly, he doesn't look that much smaller than Heavy Iron in vehicle mode. I guess Heavy Iron just compacts really well. And of course, got to do the Wild Chief thing, so here he is, just looking gigantic next to Wild Chief. And next to the more standard stuff. And with all of the other Transformers out of the way, just focusing on Air Raid for comparison. Yeah, well, first of all, I freaking love Air Raid. I said that. He's in my top 10 for 2025, so there's that. But weirdly, if you think about the size of the people as they would potentially fit inside these vehicles, which I know, like, I'm pretty sure Metal Cardbot stuff, these are supposed to be toys, like, in the show, these are supposed to be toys and not actual vehicles, but like this almost looks like it could be in scale. I don't know, like if you just account for the cockpit size and how big the people might be, like Air Raid might be a little too big, but it doesn't look that off either, which is kind of interesting. Anyway, Sky Gallop, really neat. I really dig this guy. Glad I got him. Had him for quite a while, actually, and just never got around to making a video, but I'm doing it now, and he is super cool. And I don't know, I feel bad doing some of these videos on the Korean stuff at this point because I know how difficult it is to import them to the US at the moment, but hopefully that'll change, and this video will continue to be relevant in the future. And my light is flickering again. Why are you flickering? Anyway, since the light is flickering, I'm just gonna stop because who knows when that thing's gonna... What did I just say? Alright, so thanks for watching. Feel free to chime in down below with your comments. I always enjoy hearing from you all. And assuming my light still works, we'll be back to talk about more Metal Cardbot stuff next time.